If you are like most producers, you have a hard drive full of 8-bar loops, but barely one single track that is finished and that you are proud of. And here's the thing, those unfinished tracks, they don't build your fan base. They don't get you signed to your favorite label and they don't get you gigs. And listen, I've been there, trust me. But after 15 years of trial and error, I have come up with a system that helps me finish tracks fast. And the thing is, I work full-time with my day job and I'm also a parent. And I still manage to finish almost 2 tracks every single week. So if you want to know how I do it, stay along and follow my step-to-step guide. You know when you're dreaming at night and then you try to explain the dream the next morning and it's totally gone? Well, early music ideas are exactly like that. If you don't capture them immediately, they are gone forever. So when I start a new music project, I handle it like a fragile dream. I just throw in all my ideas in there. Melodies, bass line, weird effects, atmospheric sounds, it doesn't matter. No judging, no overthinking. Because here's the thing, speed kills your perfectionism. And once I started doing this, I stayed excited about my tracks and wanted to keep going. So let's jump into an old project of mine. This song is called Wide Awake. And listen how the first rough idea sounded like. Alright, this definitely has potential, but if I would stop here, this would be just another loop. So here's the next move. Think of it as making the final scene of the movie first. Once you know how it ends, every other part makes sense. And that's how I treat the writing process as well. Because if you don't know where you're going, you will just keep changing directions all the time, and you will probably just give up halfway in. So, once I've thrown in all my ideas, I start making the final drop. I take all the best bits and shape the big moment that hits hardest. I spend a little bit more time here making sure it sounds solid. Not perfect, but just strong enough to capture the main vibe and the main energy of the track. And once that's locked in, I've basically set the final destination for the whole track. Alright, let's go back to the same project and hear now how I shaped the drop and how it gave direction for the whole track. Alright, the final drop is in place. Now let's stop looping and actually turn this into a full track. Imagine that you're going on a treasure hunt, but without the map. You might find something, or you will just mind go around for hours. Well, having a reference is like having a map. It saves you time and it shows you the path. So I take a reference track. A track in the same genre, and I literally copy the arrangement. I don't copy the sounds, but I take the structure from the track. And listen, every pro producer I know does this. And I've done it on commercial music and less commercial music, and it works. And once I have that skeleton in place, I can usually make a full arrangement in less than one session. All right, let's go back to the same project and see how I map out all the sections using a reference track, and also see how fast I can build the whole arrangement. So for this track, I actually used one of my favorite tracks, and it's the Ben Böhmer remix of Father Ocean by Monolink. So I will just start with mapping out all the sections using this track as a reference. So start here, intro, and then you can see here that we have the first drop. Oops. Drop one. And then what I like about this track that is that you have the first drop, and then it goes out, and then the first big breakdown starts here. So I will do the same and call this breakdown part 1. And then you can see we're having a bit more stuff here. With the bass, percussions, etc. comes in. So we will call this breakdown part 2. And here obviously we have drop 2. And then I will probably not make the second drop as long as here, and not exactly like this, but let's put outro. So now I mapped out all the sections, and basically I have already the whole arrangement in place. So let's start build the arrangement. So for the intro, I usually have no bass and no melody. Let's remove this as well. I can have all the drums and all the ambient sound from the beginning, and let's bring out the chorus after the second part of the intro. Yeah, let's not have the strings there either. And usually when you're making, because now I'm making the extended edit, after about 30 seconds, we can introduce the bass of the kick. And basically this is the main kick, and this is like the ghost kicks and all the added kicks and whatevers. All right, let's take the part from the main drop, the second drop, copy it to drop 1, and let's remove the main melody. Let's mute it for now. Fixing up some automation just fast. Yeah, all right. So let's have the chords here. As I did before, I'm not starting the chords right away. I want to have the reverb. Okay, and then at the second part of the breakdown, let's introduce the sub, the bass, and also some percussion and other stuff. Yeah. And move this to drop 2. And I will probably have the outro here instead. So for the outro, it's actually just the intro in reverse. So let's copy the intro like that. And then we do the reverse with like that. Let's reverse this. Not bad. Same here. Oh, wait. Like this. And let's have the chords here. I will. All right, I have a rough arrangement already done, and it took like 5 minutes because I used the reference track. But listen, here is where most producers blow it. I'm guessing you've all done the same thing as I've done. You've stayed up late working on track and it just felt amazing. You're thinking, this is gonna be the next thing, this is going to blow people's minds. And then you listen back to it the next morning and it sounds like pure garbage. Well, yeah, I've been there way too many times. And suddenly, all those little tweaks you made for hours has actually made the tracks worse. And listen, this is your brain and your ears playing tricks on you. You have been too close to the track, listening to the sounds over and over again, and before you know it, you have overproduced the whole thing. So, once I got the rough arrangement done, I take a break and I stop. Maybe for a few hours, maybe for a day or several days, it doesn't matter. But here's the thing, once I come back to the track, it's like I'm listening with someone else's ear, with fresh ears. And now I start fine-tuning everything. I fix up all the transitions, cleaning up, EQing everything. And just because I have the structure already in place and locked in, this part feels fun, not overwhelming at all. So let's go back to the same project and hear now when I fixed up everything and see how the final result sounds like. Alright, so here is the full system. You start out with a rough idea. Then you start shaping and building the final drop first. Then you are using a reference track and mapping out all the sections from the reference track, and therefore you're building a rough arrangement. Then you're taking a break. And then finally, you come back to the track and start fine-tuning everything. And this is how I can finish music consistently, even with a full-time life outside music. And if you are having problem with finishing your music, try this on your next track. And one final thing that I didn't go into in this video, and that's the mindset around all of this. Because if you don't have confidence, you will start second guess everything and everything will go way, way slower. So if you need help or if you want to work with me personally, we can do that. Just hit the link in the description and we can start talking. Or if you want to watch me reviewing some tracks live, just watch the next video.